Hello, my friends. We have a little talk ahead of us about authority and how to wield authority and be under authority properly. This is something that the world is really, really messed up on. And it's something that we as the church are pretty messed up on. The world is like a magnification and reflection of the things that are going on in our hearts. It's God inviting us to challenge ourselves to do better for ourselves and to lay a good foundation for future generations. So let's do that now. I'm currently in Israel. I don't know if you can hear the background noises. I'm in Afula, and it's during the war. And the Lord is working in an extremely strong way in the minds of the people and through the military to keep us safe. I hope that you guys are safe wherever you are around the world, and that this unity that he is bringing will be walls and a roof for us in our faith. You know, unity is really the key to this authority thing we're talking about. And in fact, this is going to sound backwards, but unity has division in it. This idea that we all need to be saying and doing and believing all the same things for us to be unified will actually do the opposite of unifying us. As odd as that sounds, that call for unity is divisive. It's a sorcery. It's one of the it leads to one of the 4 D's of witchcraft. One of those D's is to divide, right? And what better way to divide than to tell everybody that you want to unify them, right? The word tells us that we are to allow. Our flesh tells us that we all want to say and do and believe the same things so that we can have fellowship. But there is a way that seems right to a man that leads to destruction. This call for unity leads to destruction. My friend, be manumitted from those shackles and chains, and listen to the voice of the shepherd, who is calling you out of a very simple trap. Don't fall for the very simple trap. Instead, be unified under God's authority, using his word, not the flesh's word, as your foundation. It says, let every man be fully convinced. By you? By the authorities around you? By your arguments and your persuasion? No. Let every man be fully convinced in his own mind. We all know that it says this, but what does this actually look like? What does this actually look like in reality? Well, it looks like loving one another. I'm not talking about being tolerant of one another. I'm talking about loving one another in spite of our differences. This is hard, my friends. Us in the Torah-keeping community, we come with baggage. We came out of our old way of life, and many of us have been mistreated by family, friends, churches, and the world because we have decided to live in a too godly way, and it appears as though we are being illogical in our service to God and the truth. But as we all know and have been maturing in this, that's not the case. They're wrong, even though many of them still think that we've made these horrible decisions to serve God with everything we've got. We know that is brought an abundant crop of righteousness and goodness. And in the end, it just makes them uncomfortable with themselves because we are a stalwart of what they ought to be. But that doesn't change the fact that we come with baggage, and we bring that baggage into our relationships with one another. And because we have this void in our heart that's been opened up from the life that we've left behind, we tend to persevere in the wanting to fill that void with fellowship of the flesh around us, of the people around us, who are not all flesh, who are the Holy Spirit walking, talking living through us because our old man has died and the new man is what now lives in its place. My friends, only God can fill that void. Every time that you're talking with a friend about your version of theology, which you believe God has shown you, and they just won't agree with what has been plainly set before you, it's okay. See that as an invitation from God to draw closer to Him, where you cannot draw closer to your brother. There is division in unity. We have to learn to accept this if we're going to be united. We will be united. It's God's will. Don't fall behind. Don't find yourself lacking in the group. Don't be the weak link, okay? We are moving towards unity, and we want you to be a part of it. You have to accept some division and let your heart be filled with fellowship with God. We all know that God is scary and that there are repercussions, both positive and negative. My friend, suffer long for this. What about when your friend is doing something that you know is just absolutely against Torah? Stepping on your sacred ground right in front of you, sinning against God. Don't fall for the trap. Let every man be fully convinced in his own mind. You know, we're surrounded by this idea of tolerance and having to tolerate all this wickedness, homosexuality, sex slavery. Don't act like you don't tolerate it, because you do. It's happening all around you. If you weren't tolerating it, then it would not be happening, but you do tolerate it. My friends, we are going to tolerate one thing or another. We are built to tolerate and to love. And tolerating your friend breaking Torah because he sees it differently than you doesn't stop there. You have to love him. Now, don't go sinning yourself, but helping your friend in doing whatever he is doing, or at the very least, not getting in his way. Don't hate him. Love him. This is the fulfillment of love to one another. This is the fulfillment of they will know that you are my disciples by the love that you have for one another. Who is they? They will know? Man, they is the heathen and the Gentiles. I don't know about you, but how many times have you gotten into a conversation with the heathen and the Gentiles and they walk away saying, yeah, you know what, you're right. They don't even think God is real. How could something that you do amongst your brothers and sisters be so striking to them that it caused them to really fully understand and see that you are a disciple of something that they see as fiction? It's because it's a monumental kind of love. Are you displaying that monumental kind of love to your brothers and sisters? I sure hope you are. And if you are, God bless you for it. You are an example, and you should have some authority in your community to be a quiet light all around you. And you should be teaching others this lesson, because we all need to walk circumspectly in that authority. Moving on to another aspect of unity, something else that we need in our movement in unity is the structure of authority. We need leaders of tens, hundreds, and thousands. Yeah, this is a complicated matrix of social unity, and it requires individuals to be serving God with all their heart, mind, and strength, and to be loving one another as themselves. It requires the small groups, to be serving God together and serving one another, the large groups, and so on and so forth. It calls us to have sound minds that have divisions in them, knowing the difference between looking to Moses for leadership and looking to God for leadership. Moses provides us one type of leadership, and it comes from God, but we all individually need not to look to Moses when we are when we're parched and need water. Because Moses is going to say, what are you doing coming to me asking for water? Go to God. Stop looking to me. Even though he's the one with the staff that slammed onto the ground or whatever it was that parted the sea. Moses did not part the sea. God parted the sea. And you are to go to God for those things. Does this mean that you are to go to God and then be breaking the rules of your leaders? Absolutely not. You need your leaders to rein you in. Because God's invisible. You can't see him. And there is a great deceiver whose intention is to beguile you. That means to get into your mind and convince you that what is good is bad and what is bad is good. And most of us, there's a lot of things that are good that we're convinced are bad. And there's a lot of bad that we are convinced is good. The Jezebel spirit has a lot of divisiveness in the world and in our communities. Women, ladies, you need to submit to your husbands. This doesn't look like giving your husband the solution that you so plainly see and then nagging at him as he's doing what he's supposed to be doing and taking authority and providing the solution that he sees fit after hearing your information and taking his information and all the information that he needs in order to make the decision properly. He doesn't need you nagging at him, telling him that he's wrong. This is wrong. This is not holy. This is unrighteous. Your job is to suffer along next to your husband, even if you see that he's making a mistake, because you are likely beguiled. And even if you're not, when it's proven that he's wrong and you guys run into that wall or step off that cliff, that's not your opportunity. That's not your open door to say, look, you were wrong. I should be the one in authority. Look at all the suffering we have to go through. No, that's wickedness. That's unholy. Your job is to do the very difficult thing of putting away the desires of the flesh. And your job is to be holy and righteous before God. Your job is to support not what your flesh wants and desires, not your solution, but to sacrifice your solution and make your husband's solution your solution and pray for him. That is your job. Many times divorce looks like it's the husband's fault, but the reason that divorce is happening is because women are failing to submit to their husbands. And my friends, my men, the authority is not yours to give to your wife. Your job is to put on your God pants, deal with the nagging wife, deal with her thinking that you're wrong, do what's best for your family. And when it is proven that you're wrong, if you are wrong, then learn how to apologize, how not to allow her to use that as an opportunity to overtake you in authority, and to move forward with authority, adapting your decision, and slowly over time, you'll get better at wielding that authority, and she will begin to respect you because she'll see that oftentimes you're right. Why are you right? Is it because you're awesome? No, it's because God has made you to be the authority. God is the covering for man, man is the covering for woman. And men, you have a responsibility in allowing your women to exercise the authority that they so desperately seek to have to the children and to the younger women. Step out of the way. If there's an older woman who's willing to take a younger woman under her wing, then your job is to have authority over that older woman and work through that older woman for the younger woman the same way that God works through you for your wife. And same with the children. Step out of the way. Even when she's asking you, hey, help me with this. I need your help. My kids aren't listening to me. Well, you might not want to help her. You might want to put her in a circumstance where she has to use her authority in the right place, or else she's going to start trying to use that authority over you again. My friends, God's structure of authority is perfect, and it brings unity. Suffer, not for what you want, or for comfort, or for being right, or for having victory over the problem and finding the right solution. My friends, finding the right solution is not as important as honoring God's structure of authority. If you are honoring his structure of authority, You are living in his house. And he will only allow you to be in his house if you're following his rules. He's not there just to protect your flesh. He's there to grow your spirit. My friends, thank you for growing with us today. You are to be the head, not the tail. You are to have the authority to step on snakes and scorpions. You will not have this authority if you do not find unity within our group. Remember, my friends, my Torah keepers, my loved ones, unity has division. Set your heart on God's ways. Amen.